Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul. I just got back 2 days ago from Europe. Oh my. The memories. I used to go to Europe all the time, and then the pandemic happened and I didn't travel because that would be crazy. But now that I'm double vaccinated, now that we can take COVID tests, I was thinking when's going to be the time? And then my boyfriend had to attend a conference for work in Portugal, and he asked me if I would come. We did approximately 1 million COVID tests, some of which cost over $100. But I was happy to do it because if I was going to travel, we were going to travel safe. We wore masks everywhere. That was interesting. Other countries are not wearing masks as much as Canada. And I bought a lot of books. And that's the point of this video though. So let's do that part. I bought 20 books, I think. One of them I left in my boyfriend's apartment, which is haunting me because I really wanted to show it to you guys. And I just feel like maybe there was another book I bought and well, you know what it is. I bought 2 books for a friend of mine and I'm not going to show those because she'll watch this video and I don't want her to know. It felt so wonderful to get to go back to my favorite bookshops, Foyles, Waterstones, and some new bookshops that I really enjoyed in Portugal. It was a great trip. I'm excited to relive the trip, some of the memories through these books with you guys. But first, a word from our sponsor. Let's give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Book of the Month. Book of the Month is an online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books that they will love. How it works is simple, but effective. Every month, their team vets hundreds of books and picks out 5 of the most interesting, compelling new books for you to pick from. If you're subscribed, you pick one of those 5 books every month and it gets sent straight to you. If, for whatever reason, you don't want to participate that month, you can skip the month at no charge and you can do that as many times as you want. If you use my link or my code down below, you will get your first hardcover for only $9.99. Let me show you this month's books. The Family by Naomi Kraputsky. How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days by K.M. Jackson. The Collective by Allison Galen. A Little Hope by Ethan Joella. And The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. And the add-on books, My Body by Emily Ratajkowski and Will by Will Smith with Mark Manson. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. They are linked down below. Let's start talking about these books. Okay, I think I tried to put them in order of how I bought them, but then it got all out of order. These were some of the first ones, but I don't know where to start. We'll just go through them together. Okay, here we are, the first 2. This is where, already we're off to a terrible start. This is where I bought a 3rd book and I left it, like I said, at my boyfriend's apartment. So this first one is The Woman in the Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamura. So this was recommended to me by my friend Raylene, who I run my podcast, my book podcast with. She had just read this and she thought I would like it. And I looked it up and I didn't like the Canadian cover. And so when I was over there, I picked up the UK cover. And these books were purchased in Foyles. God, going to Foyles at this point in my life makes me emotional. It makes me want to cry. I feel so much love for that bookshop. Definitely my favorite bookshop in the world. Just so many good memories there. It's so giant. It's like a palace, a modern kind of aesthetic palace to books. This is Japanese translated fiction. And Raylene said that I would like it because I liked Convenience Store Woman. So here I am, ready. The next one is A Sunday in Ville davre by Dominique Barbary. Damn it. So this is another translated one. This is, oh God, it's translated from the French, but is she French? Why do I remember that she's Finnish? She's not. She's from France. This sounded like the kind of indie film A24 would make a little bit, if you know what I mean. So this is about 2 sisters who are in a suburb outside of Paris. One of them is visiting her sister's house. And it's like just one long conversation. I love that. I love it when people, like authors, are playing with time scales, right? One conversation, it sounds fantastic. It's one afternoon or something like that. So I thought that sounded wonderful. And I'd also never heard of it, but I loved the cover and I had to pick it up. The other book that I forgot at my boyfriend's apartment has the most incredible cover. This book, I was drawn in by the cover. Astral Season. Is that what it was called? It had a very complicated title. Anyways, you're looking at it. It's about these two mega fans of this idol band that they're obsessed with. And one of their favorite idol commits a murder. And they decide, it seems from the synopsis, they decide because they're such fans of him and they want to help him, they decide that they'll confess to the crime of this murder. And so it's this interesting book. It seems to be this interesting book. I haven't read it. This is a book haul. Can't make any opinions. It seems to be this interesting look at fame, parasocial relationships, as the term has become very popular to use. So I'm really looking forward to it. This cover looked incredible. I am so excited about it. So, okay, let's talk about this one. This is probably the greatest cover of the year award to Orwells Roses by Rebecca Solnit. So, oh God, when I heard about this a few weeks ago, months ago, I was absolutely excited. It's a nonfiction book by Rebecca Solnit about gardening and how gardening is reflective of George Orwell's life and his work and nature in Orwell. And we all know George Orwell is my favorite author. And I love to see him still being written about, still being popular. There's so much to learn. There's so much to look at. And not only was this cover stunning, but I thought the book sounded genuinely great. So I thought, great, I'll pick that up eventually. Okay. Then an Instagram advertisement got me good. It said, if you order this book online, you can get a free tote bag. And I was like, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. But then it said, only within the UK. And I saw this like 2 weeks before I was going to the UK. So I was like, that's fine. I will pretend I'm from the UK. So I marked, this is one of my greatest book hacks, book wins of all time. I marked myself to just, I'll pick it up in store. I live in the UK, haha. And a week later, I got an email that was like, cool, your book is ready to pick up at Foyles. And I was like, ha 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 ha. And so I went there and they gave me the book, but they also gave me the tote bag. Look at this. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So this is probably my new favorite tote bag of my life. I don't think it can get better than that. But I thought this would be a fun little intermission to show you a few of the random other things I got on this trip that were not specifically books, but that I thought you guys specifically would like. You know, I got a new pair of corduroy pants, but you don't need to see that. Here are the things I got I thought you'd care about. I got this mug. Oh my goodness. This is a Jane Austen mug, and it has all of the main Jane Austen characters illustrated throughout. It is so adorable. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I can't believe I didn't smash it. What else do I have in here? Oh, yes. We went to Mina Lima because it's right next to my favorite restaurant in all of London, Pho Cafe on Mordor Street in the Tottenham Court Road area. And so we went into Mina Lima, which is the people that designed all the Harry Potter graphic design stuff. And I picked myself up this journal that looks like the Dark Arts, Defense Against the Dark Arts textbook from the movie. I thought that was super adorable. That is mine now. Okay, back to the books. So I then went and hung out with my friend Lena. This was so meaningful and lovely, not to be cheesy, but at some point in the pandemic, Lena and I started calling every 2 weeks. I don't know. Every 2 weeks we call and we talk about work and we talk about life and they're long. Those are long calls. And actually I'm going to be in a video on her channel. So if you're interested, go check Lena out. She's incredible. But I went and visited her. It was so much fun. It was so beautiful. Like after a year of calling, maybe longer than a year of doing these phone calls, it was so beautiful to just finally get to see her in real life. And of course, we did a little book shopping. I bought this beautiful edition of Sandition, by Jane Austen. Beautiful, beautiful internal rhyme there. But it's not just Sandition. It's also Lady Susan and the Watsons. These are the 3 unfinished Jane Austen works. And I loved this bind-up of them. So I had to get it. Okay? Then I picked up Hamlet. Hamlet. I don't know why I'm excited to talk about this one. This is a book that won the Women's Prize, as this giant sticker would suggest. But this is a book about Shakespeare's son, Hamlet, of whom Hamlet was based. And what's interesting, when I was checking out at the store, the bookshop clerk was very excited that I was getting this. And she was like, it's so interesting because they never name Shakespeare in the book. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. I didn't know if he was going to be a main character. I just heard really good things about this book. And I thought, this is the moment. This is the moment to grab it. But I guess he's not really a main character in any way. So anyways, I thought this sounded really cool. Whoa. The next book, oh my goodness. This was a book, okay, this one and one other one, I was like, Ariel, don't buy this. Not because you don't want it. I really did want it. But because carrying this in a suitcase is ridiculous. It's this giant hardcover book. But I just loved it. It's so beautiful. So it's called A Trillion Trees, How We Can Reforest Our World by Fred Pierce. It is obviously, if that didn't sell it, a nonfiction book about trees and forests. Look at how beautiful this spine is. Wow. This is beautiful, beautiful book production. Granta is making some beautiful, stunning. To put the title like that down at the bottom, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. They also did the Orwells Roses book, and I think I got another Granta book somewhere in here. They're nailing it. It's also big, but like the font is pretty giant and the margins are pretty big, so I don't think that this would actually be that daunting of a read. All right. Let's move up the next pile. I then went and hung out with my friend Claire. Again, just getting to see my friends that I haven't gotten to see in 2 years, that I used to see fairly regularly. It made my heart a lot better. And I picked up a bunch of books when I was with her. And actually, I did a book haul on her channel. So if you want to check that out, please do. I showed off a bunch of these books, but you can also see the books that she got, and they were very interesting picks. And because there's so many books here today, I am trying to go a little bit quickly. So go check hers out, because I'm sure I talked about them in more detail there. Link down below. So anyway, I got The Perfect World of Miwako Sumida by Clarissa Gonnewan. This looked and sounded phenomenal. It's about a young woman who's been murdered, and her friends, in a Japanese, it's set in Japan, her friends and her family are trying to figure out what it was. But the thing that really compelled me, it says that she had a true identity. So clearly there was some big secret going on. And I really don't read crime stuff, like murder stuff or anything like that. But something about this book pulled me in. So I thought, let's go for it. I then picked up The Pillars of the Earth. This is the other book that I was like, Ariel, don't be ridiculous. Do not buy this giant tome. Carrying that home in your suitcase. Guys, I don't know how I got all these books home. Genuinely have no idea. I think I teleported some of them because I don't understand how I brought these all back. But The Pillars of the Earth is a book I'd been excited about for a while. I was interested in, and then Claire was buying it, who I was book shopping with. And it just looks so beautiful with this edition. And I looked it up and I was like, okay, well, Ariel, buy that in Canada. Looked it up. Canada didn't have this cover, and I like this edition way more. So here we are. Then I bought Stasiland by Anna Funder, Stories from Behind the Berlin Wall. Again, this is a book that I picked up because of Claire. She pointed it out and she's like, have you read that? I've heard such great things about it. And I hadn't, and I started flipping through it and I was like, you're right, this sounds phenomenal. The Berlin Wall is one of those situations where I'm like, I know about it because it's a knowable thing. Everybody knows there was a Berlin Wall and it came a crumbling down. But do I actually understand all of the ins and outs of it? Absolutely not. So I thought it would be so cool to read this. I have read a couple of books that are like uber specific nonfiction books, and they are so rewarding. It's so fun to go down a rabbit hole with someone who is very knowledgeable about some topic. So this sounded phenomenal. I also I am going to go through these a bit faster because I talked about them in her haul. So go watch her video. Starling Days by Rowan Hisayo Buchanan. Loved this cover. Was definitely sucked in by this cover. But also loved the initial premise. So you have this woman who is standing at the side of a bridge. And she's clearly not well. She's very contemplative. It seems like she doesn't even know if she's considering jumping or not, but some policemen go past her and they think she is. So they get her off of the bridge and take her into custody and stuff. And I read the first few pages and I was like, whoa, this is a really, really cool place to start a book. So I bought it. And then I bought The Last Children of Tokyo by Yoko Tawada. This sounds so much like Children of Men, if you've seen that movie. It's about an old character who's over 100 years old and knows that he's going to live for decades and decades more. But then also this, like, I guess his grandchild, this young child character who is very sickly. And it's this world where all of the children that are being born are not surviving. And so because of that, it sounds like Children of Men, but I don't know how different it is. This is a book I saw in the bookshop, in foils actually, for years. And every time I'd go in there, I'd be like, should I buy it this time? This time I did. Okay, then I went to Portugal. In Portugal, I went to 2 different bookshops. I went into a lot of different bookshops, but I ended up buying books from 2 different bookshops. Was it 2? No, it was 3. I can't be tamed. Okay, so the first one was in Porto. I loved Porto. What a beautiful, beautiful city. We went to the really famous bookshop there, and I'm guessing it's pronounced Livraria Leio, but maybe that's incorrect. Beautiful, beautiful bookshop. What's really interesting is that it definitely reminded me of Shakespeare and Company in Paris in that it's a very old, famous bookshop and very like iconic, but you have to pay to go into this bookshop. So clearly they know they're a tourist attraction. People were taking so many photos in there. It was like super hectic. Whereas in Shakespeare and Company, you're not allowed to take photos. You shouldn't take photos. If you're taking photos, it's because you're being cheeky and hopefully you're doing like one quick snap and then putting your phone away. Whereas this was like people were doing full-on photo shoots. I partook. I got my snap. But what's good about the ticket is that you can then, they can scan your ticket and take that money off of any book. So what we realized in there, it was genius tourism planning, is that they publish their own editions. These are made at their own press and they're so beautiful. And I bought 2 of them because I couldn't decide between this edition of The Jungle Book and this edition of Dracula. I loved them both, so I bought them both. and then the rest of these books I got in Lisbon. So I wanted to go to a bookshop and I looked it up and there was one that was open near where we were staying and I was like, let's go here. And as we're walking in, there was like a Guinness World Record picture that was like, this is the oldest bookshop in the world. And I was like, pardon? And I Googled it and I looked it up later that night and it is. It is the oldest, like, still working functional bookshop in the world. And I love that I accidentally went there and I bought 4 books in their English language section. One thing that this shop did that reminded me of my beloved Shakespeare and Company is that they stamp your books and it says, purchased at the oldest bookshop in the world. I think that's so cute. I love that. So I got, like I said, 4 books. I got 2 poetry collections that I just thought were really cool. One of them is Of Mutability by Joe Shapcott, and the other is Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope. I like Wendy Cope already as a poet, and so when I saw her collection, I was like, oh, this is really pretty edition. Sure. And then I saw this one, and I started flipping through it, and I saw 2 poems that I really liked, and I thought, hey, I'll give her a shot. I don't know who that is, but I'll give them a shot. And then I also picked up Requiem, A Hallucination by Antonio Tabucci. This is a book set in Lisbon. I don't believe that the author is Portuguese. I don't remember where he was from. I think he was Italian. But the character is the same, like is a person visiting Lisbon. And I thought, incredible. That's me. So excited to get a book that was set in Portugal. And then I got Ken Follin's, what a random book, A Short History of the Meaning of Cathedrals. So this is the same author that wrote Pillars of the Earth. And I was like, how fitting. I bought part 1. I bought the fiction version in the UK, and now I've bought the nonfiction book in Portugal. I love it. This tiny little slim volume on the history of cathedrals, specifically Notre Dame. Sign me up. I love Notre Dame. God, I wish I was in Paris. I should never have returned from Europe. Okay, and then the last book I got, this was such a silly purchase, but I got emotionally attached to it. I don't know, does this happen to anybody else where you like see a book in a shop and you're like, that seems cool, but then you keep walking, but then there's something in the back of your mind, like you're supposed to get that book. Like you and that book are emotionally attached now. You need that copy of that book. That's what happened here. So I picked up, this was in a used bookshop, kind of across from that other bookshop. But like I said, we were staying really close to there, so I kept walking past the shop. And it's The Sound of Waves by Yukio Mishima. So this is another translated Japanese book. But this one's quite old. I feel like this is from the 50s. Yeah. Wow. 1956. And it sounds really lovely. I was looking up reviews of it, and somebody reviewed it and they were like, imagine my surprise to read a book by Yukio Mishima and it has a happy ending and is basically a rom-com. And I was like, pardon? That sounds fantastic. But it is set a very long time ago, and it's about a young fisherman and how he falls in love with kind of the rich, fancy girl in town, and they fall in love, so they get married, but they have to deal with prejudice. And I thought, that sounds great. I'll get it. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. That was a long video. I got so many books, but I'm so excited about all of them. You know, the comment that I get on my book calls a lot of the time, probably from people who don't really know me, but they all comment like, she's not even going to read these books. I do read these books. I do read them. I just don't really review books on my YouTube channel anymore. So if you want to hear me reviewing these books once I've actually read them, check out my podcast, Books Unbound. It's a great name. It's a great pod. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and enjoyed spending some time with me and all of these books. What a tower. What a tower I've collected. Oh my gosh. I have to do a little shout out. You guys, I have to do a little shout out to my merch, or else I am not being kind to myself or to you, because you deserve to know. So I have this sweater that I made that I absolutely am obsessed with. And also people keep complimenting it. 2 people in bookshops complimented it. My vet, the vet's assistant, complimented it. So people like this. Okay. I love the color of it. I got it in an extra large, and I definitely should have gotten a large if I wanted it to be baggy, or a medium if I wanted it to fit perfectly, because they are true to size. And I just didn't know because I was ordering a sample size. So I have an extra large, but it's definitely pretty giant on me. On the front, it says, I'm thinking about books. Amazing. And then on the sleeve, you guys, it has a little book. It has a little embroidered book. Okay. But also for my podcast, we made these beanies, and I drew these little books that are embroidered onto the beanie, which is possibly the cutest beanie for winter that's ever existed. For my podcast, we also have these mugs. I'm just shouting all the merch. I'm being shameless right now. I'm doing a shameless plug for my beautiful merch that I love and I'm proud of. Also, I have been wearing this nonstop and washing it excessively because I wanted to see how many if it stays good, if it shrinks once you wash it a lot. She has stayed so strong. The color has stayed. It hasn't shrunk. It's still soft. It's amazing quality and made ethically. So I'm really proud of it. Anyways, this hat is also great. I'm proud of all my merch. So I'm going to shout it out. This mug says all books are winners on it. And then it has a bunch of the logos and some confetti from our favorite book prizes. So I thought that was really cute. But then the final thing I have to shout out, and I awkwardly pinned them to the back of this hat, but that's life. My pins, you guys, these enamel pins are possibly the cutest thing that's ever existed. These are based on the drawings from my logo for my house renovation videos. So if you want to support my house renovation or just the channel, please check out my merch. It's linked down below. There it is. I did it. And finally, again, thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. They are linked down below if you want to check them out. I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye.